to Girl That'll Preach, where I invite my friends to come and share the things that they are passionate about. Basically, the concept is this: have you ever sat in on just a fantastic conversation, one of those really deep heart-to-hearts? And as you're sitting there and you're listening to your friend talk, the only thing you can think is, man, girl, that'll preach. Well, I am so excited to be bringing some of those conversations to you over the next few months. And today I am so excited to have my good friend Sharon Poole joining us to share her heart about a topic that is very important to her. And that is the topic of girls ministry in this decade. So, hey, Sharon.
Good morning. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing well. I'm excited to talk with you today.
I know I don't get to see you nearly enough, so this is really nice. For those of you who don't know Sharon, first of all, you're totally missing out. But Sharon is the Penn Ministry Director of Girls Ministries. She also serves at Calvary Church in Irvine with her son, Nick. She's a mom to Natasha, mother-in-law to Heidi, and the very, very proud grandmother of 4 adorable kids.
That's
Four
it.
of them. Yes, Zach, Evie, Luke, and Addie. If you ever run into her, I'm sure she'll be more than happy to show you pictures, right?
Absolutely. Pictures and stories.
Pictures. Oh, she's got great stories too. Get Sharon to tell you a story. But she loves being a grandmother. Last summer, Sharon became Reverend Sharon Poole when she received her ministry credentials. And I got to tell you, we couldn't be there because of COVID, but we were watching on TV and we were like, go Sharon. We were cheering so loud from home because we were just so proud of you. So we're excited for that part of your life. So I don't know if you remember, but I think we met years ago at a Women of Purpose conference.
We did.
And right away, I mean, to know Sharon is to love Sharon. The first time you meet her, you just connect. At least we did. And then she invited me to come speak at one of her girls' ministry conferences. And my brother Jamie came along. And as you were doing the introduction, you were speaking fluent sarcasm as you were telling the story. And we just looked at each other and we're like, she's our people. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So Sharon is a woman that over the years has become a really good friend. She's someone that I trust with all of my heart. So much so that a few years ago, when it was time to pick a board for our ministry, Sharon was right there at the top of the list. And we asked her to join us for a few years and help us get things launched and get things off the ground. And I don't know that you'll ever know how much we appreciated those couple of years that you gave us and all the wisdom that you helped us through then. So thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Sharon is passionate about serving Jesus and loving her family. She has a tremendous heart for missions, and it's not unusual to find her in a tree because she loves climbing trees. But here's a lesser known fact about Sharon. She is the world expert on when to wear white capris and when not to wear white capris.
Absolutely.
So she doesn't have the official title, but this is something between her and I because she's very adamant. Sharon, tell us when you can wear white capris.
You can wear white on the waist down. That includes shoes, pants, capris, whatever, Memorial Day through Labor Day. Labor Day, you put the white away and you go to different colors, blacks, browns, grays, greens, blues, anything. But you can only wear white from the waist down from Memorial Day to Labor Day. Some people think that it's kind of a spiritual thing and that I'm very legalistic, but I'm not. It just makes sense. I grew up in an era when my mother said you never wear white from the waist down before Memorial Day, and I just lived by it. My mother had a lot of wisdom. She was a good woman. She was not just godly, but a good woman in other areas too. So it's not a spiritual thing. It's not even an ethical thing. It just looks good. And when I see someone wearing white before Memorial Day,
which I've been doing for months now.
screams, and it's like, no! But that's okay. I do give grace to those people who find it important to wear white at different times of the year. I went to college in Florida, and they wear white year round, which just totally messed with my brain, but that's okay
for you.
I survived it. I really did survive it. And I just have to breathe and say, okay, some people just aren't in the know. Some people just don't care, but that's okay. White is okay, I guess. Okay.
Very passionate about this. Can you tell this is going to be an amazing conversation? Because if she's this passionate about white capris, what is she going to be about a real passion of hers, which is girls ministry in this decade? So this is going to be a lot of fun. Ready to get started?
I am absolutely ready.
Okay. I don't know if you remember this, but a few years ago, we've had this conversation of why you believe this ministry is so important now more than ever. And I was wondering if you could just take a few minutes and share that with us.
Absolutely. Girls ministries, girls in particular, I look at them when a child is born, when a baby is born, what I see is potential. It's like dynamite ready to go off. There's so many ways that that child can be used, can be formed, can grow. Unfortunately, in our world today, we have seen people trying to, cultures, ideologies trying to make everyone the same. God didn't create us the same. I am so glad about that. I am an American. I am from the Czech heritage. I love that. I love Czech food. I love American food. Not so big on some other foods, but I love the differences in culture. As you mentioned, I have a real passion for missions, and I really do. I feel like whenever God gives me an opportunity to go somewhere and minister and reach others for Jesus Christ in a different part of the world, it's incredible. It's not up to me to go and change their culture. It's up to me to go and minister to them where they are. And it's not up to you. It's not up to me to take a girl and make her into something that is the same as a boy. God created us differently, and it's important for us to celebrate those differences. I love it. I love that God created me to be a female. I love that he gave me a passion for white after Memorial Day, that he gave me a passion to climb trees, that he gave me a passion to cook, a passion to sew, a passion to mother people. Mm-hmm. That's who God put in me. He didn't create me to be just exactly like everyone else. He created me to be different. And when I see girls, I see people that God has created, and he has a special purpose in their life. He gave them specific characteristics, specific tendencies, specific gifts for a reason. He wants to celebrate that. He wants to celebrate the idea that he has created something so unique and special. And so when I see girls and I see the need for girls ministries, I see something that says, I need to make sure that young lady understands, that young girl understands that she is so incredibly special in God's sight. She is unique. God created her to be something like no one else. I love when you meet someone and you say, that girl is so special. She has something really special. The important thing is, each person, each girl has something special, and we need to celebrate that. We need to feed that so that they can develop into what God has called them to be. I don't know if I got off the subject, but I just kind of
I just love your passion. I mean, you are so passionate about this topic. The girls ministry could not have a better spokesperson, because you're so into it and so supportive of it.
Thank you.
So why do you think it's good for girls to have a haven away from boys, as far as like the dating and the impressing and fighting over boys for a while? Like, how is that good for them?
It's so incredible. It's like you can give them a place where they can stop, they can breathe, they can,
Yes.
it's okay. It's okay. I don't have to impress boys. I don't have to be trying to figure out what they're thinking. I can simply be a girl. I can simply talk about girls' things. There are things that guys have no clue about. They really don't understand. It's not a put down of them. It is not a put down of them. It's how God created them.
And things about them we don't get either. So it's just
right. Exactly. And it's important for us to have an area, a time where we can just sit and talk. Now, I'm very adamant about this. It's important for girls to get together, but it's also important for them to have a female leader who can guide them, who can mentor them, who can pour into them wisdom and ideas. The leader does not have all the answers. Mm-hmm. There are so many things I face in my life, and it's like, I don't know. I don't have the answers to this, but I do know that from my experiences, God has showed me how to rely upon him, how to look to him, how to call upon him, and how to get advice. So whenever I look at a setting where it's just girls with a leader, I see such an incredible time where they can develop it. They're free, they're comfortable. They should be free and comfortable to speak what's on their heart, even if it goes against what the leader believes. They need to be able to speak that, because when you speak something aloud, as opposed to keeping it in your heart and keeping it as a secret within you, when you speak it aloud, you give it the freedom to develop, to be changed, to be molded. And so when you and I talk about wearing white before Memorial Day, as you speak it and as I speak it, it gives us a chance to laugh about it. And it gives us a chance to say, okay, for me, I can't do it. For you, it's okay. But it's not something that's going to change the world when you wear white. Exactly. It's not going to affect the real stuff in life. But when you and I talk about reaching others for Christ, when we talk about our view of missions and our view of girls' ministries, that can affect the world. So just opening up the conversation seems to make it grow more. So when girls get together and they talk about, this is what I'm feeling inside, this is how I want to develop, this is what even when it's nothing, it's not something that is godly, by them opening it up, it gives an area, it gives an opportunity for us to pour into them and to mentor them, to build things in their lives. I recall a number of years ago, quite a few years ago, I was teaching Friends group, which is the, not the high school, it's from 6th grade through 9th grade. And as I was teaching them, 6th grade through 8th grade. And as I was teaching them, one of the girls, I had a really good relationship with my group. They were my girls. They knew it. They knew they could sit and talk with me, and we would just spill our hearts. During that time, one of the girls, her mother passed away, and she had not been living with her mother. It was an interesting situation, but her mother passed away, and of course she was very upset and devastated by it. So on Wednesday night, when we generally met, I had called all the parents ahead of time, talked to all the girls, and said, we are going to go to the funeral home. We are going to go and just be a friend to this girl. And I talked to the parents talk to your daughter about the appropriate way to dress, the appropriate stuff. On our way there, we talked about what it was going to be like. Most of them, I was surprised, I was a little shocked, but most of them, I don't know if any of them had ever been to a funeral home before. In my era, we grew up going to the funeral home anytime somebody passed away. Kids, everybody went, and we learned the right way. We learned how to show respect without being afraid. And which, that's a little side note, but that's very important. It's important to see every aspect of life. And so anyway, long story, I took my girls that night. On the way there, we talked about what it would be like and what we would do. When we walked in, Misty did not know we were coming. When we walked in, she was standing up by the casket and she turned and saw all of us coming together. She came running over with tears in her eyes. She said, I knew you would come. I just knew you would come. We talked to her and made her feel like you're still who you are. This is a very sad time. We're with you. We will pray with you. We will encourage you, but we're still with you. It seemed to ease the weirdness of the moment for her. It seemed to make it okay. It was a very natural thing. It flowed. We spent probably 20 minutes with her, and then I took the girls back to the church. On the way back to the church, we talked about it, about what had happened and just different things. And what was interesting to me was it became something that was very normal. We poured into them the normalcy of life. Death is a part of life. It's a very difficult part. But I didn't want Misty to feel as though she was isolated. She was the one in the group that no longer had a mother. I wanted her to understand that it didn't change how we felt about her. We needed to show her our love. It was a very human, very natural, it flowed, and it was really, really good.
I think those girls will never forget.
Exactly. And it ministered to me as it did to the girls. It taught them how to face a life challenge with a spiritual understanding of it. And of course, we spent time praying for her before and after. But in every area of life, the girls need to know that there's a very natural, godly way to face things. They may be difficult, but it's important. A few years after that, I was still teaching these girls. I love these girls, so I moved up in class with them so that I could continue to teach them. But during that time, I went through breast cancer, and it was a big shock to me and big difficulty. It was just hard on me. And I said, okay, I can drop the class for a while I get through this, or I can walk through it with the girls. And so what I did was I went into the class. I told them, I said, this is what's going on. There are going to be some Wednesday nights when I don't feel good and I don't feel like, but I need you to be with me and to help me, and together we'll get through this. It turned the table so that they were pouring into me during this time while I continued to be with them. It was a very real, natural thing, but it gave them a basis of what was going on and how to get through something that's difficult. Now, we talked about boys. We talked about the proper things and just different aspects of relationships with the opposite sex. We talked about the proper way to dress. They were young girls and they loved dressing completely differently than me, and that was okay. But I tried to put into them the idea of honor your body, honor yourself. 2 years ago, I had an opportunity. When I do my retreats in the summer, I take a half hour, 45 minutes, and talk to the older girls. And I just call it From My Heart. And I just pour into them something that has bothered me throughout the year. And the one thing that I talked to them, I think it was 2 years ago, was in Proverbs. It talks about how it's important for us to keep our discretion. And I talked to them about how we tell young girls all the time, you are beautiful. I don't care what anybody else says, you are beautiful. And we pour that into them, the beauty of who they are. And they are. But there will come a time, and I'm hitting it really hard, when this right here is not beautiful. It's a natural process of aging. So the physical beauty is not what is important. What's important is the beauty inside and the discretion of protecting what's inside. So I don't show everything physically. I don't speak everything that goes to my mind. I use discretion and I use modesty in my speech, in my clothes, in my attire, in my way of presenting myself, because that's what is real inner beauty. And so we try to give girls an opportunity for them to see that God has created them to be beautiful. God has created them to be something special, but in his eyes. And that's when real beauty comes out.
And those are conversations you can only have with girls.
Yes, yes.
Also, you are and will always be beautiful.
You're funny.
No, it's true. You're beautiful.
Well, thank you.
On the other hand, as opposed to being with boys, I am very disturbed by how our culture right now seems to be inundating, almost, in my opinion, proselytizing young people in the area of gender and identity like never before. Jamie and I turned on a show the other night that we thought it was rated PG. We thought it would be clean, but I turned it on for 5 minutes and the young girl is changing genders just out of the blue. She's like 12 or 13. I don't even remember thinking about things like this when I was 12 or 13. How can girls ministry counterbalance these messages?
God's word tells us in Psalm 139 that God created us fearfully and wonderfully. He created in each young girl, each young boy, something that is very special. Do we question who we are? Absolutely, absolutely. And it's okay to go to God and say, God, I don't know who I am. When I went into 10th grade, I changed my name. It was a new start. I was going to back then we had junior high and then high school. 10th grade started high school. I went into 10th grade and I went from Sharon to Sherry for 1 year only. Most people do not remember that. My sister remembers it and she makes fun of me for it, which is fine.
The sisters are for.
Yeah, exactly. To me, Sharon was an old name. Sherry was a cuter name. Mm-hmm. So I became Sherry for 1 year. I tried to change who I was, but I couldn't really change who I was. I was, no matter what my name was, I was who God created me to be. We are being bombarded. Our girls are being bombarded with explore who you are, explore your gender, choose who you are. God created each person with a specific gender. We cannot change that. Even if you go through the surgery and have your body changed, even if you take the hormones, you can never change who God created you to be. Right now, it is a fad. It is the thing to do. It is become something different than who you are. And while it sounds cool and exciting, I can guarantee you that 10, 15, 20 years down the road, we are going to have a generation of people so confused as to who they are that they will not be able to process it. They will not be able to live a fulfilled life because there's too much confusion. There is just, we need to keep on the right track, and we need to allow girls to understand God created you to be an incredible female. That doesn't mean that every female wears pink.
Right, exactly.
I was diagnosed with breast cancer the end of September going into October, which is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. I want to tell you, I hate pink. I hate pink. Why do I hate pink? Because from that moment on, I hated pink because everybody, and I understood what they were doing, but in support of me, they all threw pink things at me. pink shampoo, pink lotion, pink flowers, pink shirts, pink wall hangings. Everything was pink. And it became a reminder of something very negative to me. Mm-hmm. God didn't create all females to wear pink. He created all females to be who he created them to be. So some females are very, very good at being soft-spoken, being the one that it just brings peace to a situation. But God also created some females to be very bold, be very strong, be very, not that the soft are not strong, they're soft in a different way. I mean, they're strong in a different way. But God created some females to be natural leaders, some to be natural followers, just as he's created some men to be natural leaders and some to be natural followers. Whoever God's created you to be, you need to be that. I have a tendency to be away from the pinkish, bring peace to a situation. I tell my sisters, well, I talk about it behind their backs, but God created, my parents had 3 children, all girls. And I tell my sisters that they just kept having kids till they got it right.
Yeah.
I have one that knows very boldly the way to go. I have another one who very quietly knows the way to go. I am the perfect blend, and I know what to do. I know, so just do it my way and we're good. But all joking aside, God created me to be like this. I often in bed at night say, God, why did you create me this way? This area of my life, I don't like. Why? And God reminds me over and over, I created you for a reason and a purpose. Jeremiah tells us that God has a plan. No, God has plans, plural, and a purpose in each of our lives. So when one plan is over, God's got another one coming right up behind it. He has incredible things for us, and he created your personality. He created your DNA. He created you as a female for a reason and a purpose. And it's wonderful to see. And we need to, in girls' ministries, we try to develop that and show them, you've got incredible giftings and an incredible spirit. You need to be all that God's created you to be.
That is an amazing perspective. I love the way you do that. And I love how you take it back to the story of where you changed your name, because that completely draws, when we're that age, we want to change everything. We're always searching. Nobody's happy with themselves at that age.
No, they aren't.
And I just think that's such a great way to be. You have to be you. And I love that answer. That was a great answer. So I have a couple more quick questions. First of all, what would you say to, I guess these are what would you say to people questions.
Okay.
What would you say to the pastor who thinks, it's just easier to throw all the kids in one room on a Wednesday night. I'm not going through the hassle of dividing everything into classes and structuring girls' ministry.
You're right. It is easier. It is easier. It's easier just to throw all the stuff and make a big casserole. That God did not create us to be casseroles. He created us to be a la carte. He created us to be something that stands out. And God, if you want to develop casseroles, throw them all together. Mm-hmm. If you want to, I'm not a fan of casseroles, in case you.
I remember the last time I've had a casserole, actually.
I like food. And I like to taste it distinctly. But God created us to be something specific. And we need to see the value in the effort. When you put effort into something, you get a reward. Yes. When you throw it all together, you get a casserole. And there's nothing wrong with casseroles. There really isn't. And there is a time and a place for casseroles. Mm-hmm. But there is also a time for a la carte. And there's a time when we need to say, I am willing to put the effort in to develop these girls, they have a very short span of time that we can develop them. And I am willing to put that effort into it. Same for boys. They have a very short period of time. I was talking to a mother last night, and her daughter is in college, and her daughter was complaining and whining because she now has to, it's summer, and instead of doing the summer things she did when she was in middle school and high school, she now has to work. She now has to, and she said, look, Shelby, you're an adult now.
Yeah.
It's time to be an adult. When our kids become adults, they need to be adults. We have a very short period of time to prepare them for that. And we need to put every effort. It is worth the effort. It is worth the time. It is worth shutting down adult ministries to put into the kids. I mean, if you have to say, okay, and we're not going to have our adult Bible study. We're not going to have our adult small group on Wednesday night. Instead, we're going to tell you adults to go be a part of developing, or at least for a short period of time.
Yeah.
So rewarding. It is so rewarding seeing what comes out of developing young people, whether they be female or male. It is so worth it. Mm-hmm. And I personally believe that every male, every female that walks into my church has something to share with the younger people. Even if they're that female that, or that male that says, I hate kids. So be it. Mm-hmm. You might hate kids, but you have a skill, you have something that for 2 or 3 weeks you can pour into those kids.
Which brings us to my next question. Girls ministry relies on volunteers.
Yes.
And so what would you say to someone who is considering volunteering, but they don't think they have the time, or they aren't sure if it's worth it, or maybe they don't think they've, got what it takes?
Not everybody has what it takes to work long-term in girls ministries. They really don't. But if you have a passion to see our world reach for Jesus Christ, there's an aspect of girls ministries that you can be a part of. It might be short-term, it might be long-term. If you have 1 ounce of love for others, if you have 1 ounce of wanting to help, there is an aspect that you can be used in. We definitely need someone to oversee, someone to be in charge, someone to organize and orchestrate it all. We need people that are willing. Mm-hmm. We have to be willing. Unfortunately, our culture is telling us it's all about me. It's all about take care of myself. It's important for me to be, yes, it is important for you to be all that God's created you to be, but it's also important for you to pour into others. And you need to be willing to step back and say, okay, I will sacrifice, I will put forth the effort, whether it be for a short period of time or a long period of time. I am adamant on that everybody needs to come out of themselves and pour into others.
I remember years ago, I was asked to volunteer for girls ministry. And my first response was, yeah, that's not really me. I don't do badges. I definitely don't camp. Ever, never camp. And, they made me wear a uniform, and I was just like, I don't think this is me. And they said, come to one meeting, just come once and give it a try. And I remember that night when I went to that one meeting, God stirred my heart a love for the girls. And I just connected with them. And I spent the next 3 years teaching that class. Don't think I ever wore the uniform. I think I was a little bit of a rebel there. But I just love pouring into those girls, teaching them how to be women of God, having the conversations. It was one of the best things I've ever done in ministry. So.
And something that's important, you mentioned the uniform. Over the past 15 years, girls ministries has evolved to the place where some churches continue to use uniforms, most do not. Some churches, Yeah,
Didn't match my white capris. So
okay, I know. Okay, let me be honest with you. I have been in girls' ministries on a district level since 2005.
mhm.
I have worn the uniform
Once they told
once.
me you were my kind of people.
I'm not a uniform person.
Mm-mm.
If it's part of what I have to do, I will do it.
Mhm.
But it's not who I am. I will not yell at people for wearing uniforms. If you like that uniform, you go for it. You do it. But it has evolved to the place where the uniforms are not as important.
Mhm.
To some churches they are, but as a whole, it's not that important. The badges.
Mhm.
Some churches choose to continue to do badges. Some churches choose not to, and it's okay. The core, the most important part, is that we are reaching and mentoring girls for Jesus Christ. If we have a girl that goes through the whole program, has every single uniform, every single badge, has honored in everything, but she doesn't have a relationship with Jesus Christ, then we have failed miserably. Mentoring that girl to become who God's created her to be in Him is the most important. And the part of it is showing them how to see themselves in God, see themselves as God sees them, that God sees them as this wonderful human being in His image who can do great things for Him. So
it's all about the girls. And seriously,
it is.
just my little part, if you're considering it, give it a try. I loved it.
Absolutely.
Finally, what do you tell parents who they're tired at the end of the day and their schedules are already like overwhelmed and they're like, girls ministry, is it worth the commitment? Because, sorry, if the parents don't bring them, they aren't coming.
That's right. Is it worth the commitment? Yes, absolutely. It's worth the commitment. At the very least, think of it as an hour and a half alone for you with the girls taken care of. If that's how you have to get your brain through it, go that way. But the importance of it is truly that you are pouring into them something very, very, very important. I am not a gardener. I play one on TV. No, I don't. I would love to be this incredible gardener that can plant something and it just, all these wonderful things happen. I'm not that. However, every year, I plant flowers. I plant them I want to see them grow. Probably about 6 or 7 years ago, I planted morning glories, and I had these humongous morning glory plants. They were, the leaves literally were that big. They were huge. They were gorgeous, but there was not one flower on it, not one. And it just, I watered them. So I did some research on it, and I found out that the ground in which I planted it did not have enough phosphorus. Mm-hmm. I needed to be putting phosphorus in it. So when you're taking your girls to girls' ministries, you have to look at it as, I can create this beautiful female. I can help her to be the most popular one in school. I can help her to be the most educated one in her class. But if I'm not pouring into her spiritually, I'm missing the phosphorus. If I'm not allowing her, giving her the opportunity to be mentored by other females, because girls will listen to another female, an adult female, before they'll listen to their mother.
Yeah.
Very often. Now, later on in life, they look back and say, oh yeah, my mom told me, and this has developed in me. But we need to have those other females offering them incredible stuff. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's worth it. It's worth it. You have to put forth the effort. Whatever it takes, do it, because it's going to pour into them. And that one other little point, that means that those that are pouring into them on Wednesday night, Sunday night, whenever it is that you do it, understand the importance of preparing and having that phosphorus to offer to them, having something spiritual. You have to make sure it's in your own heart, your own spirit, before you get there. You don't walk in unprepared. You walk in ready to pour in.
Yes. I remember doing girls ministry, and this just brings so many good memories back for me. I really loved it so much. I just remember I took teaching girls ministry as seriously as I did speaking at a major conference, because it was just as important that those little girls get what they got as it did that I would speak to hundreds of women. So yeah, it's important. Okay, so we're wrapping up, but I just want to give you a soapbox moment. This is your moment. Do you have any final thoughts you want to share about girls ministry?
Absolutely. I think what I want to speak to is church leadership right now. Quite honestly, a lot of church leadership is going to, let's provide something splashy and huge and wonderful and generic for our children, for our girls. A few years ago, I was at a church, and the pastor was I was at their final girls ministries event. They were stopping girls ministries, and and the pastor said, yeah, we are starting something new. We are looking for something that's going to minister and be really incredible and just wonderful and big, and small groups for girls, small groups. And my husband looked at him and he said, well, we have small groups at our church. Oh, you do? Yeah. Do you have small groups for girls? Absolutely. Do you really? How is that working? And Paul said, you know what? It's working very well. We are mentoring and pouring into the girls. He said, what is the curriculum? And Paul said, it's girls ministries. Mm-hmm. And the pastor just looked at her and went, oh,
yeah,
it's there. It's there. If the church leadership will see the value in it, yes, it takes work. It takes effort. But you put work and effort into your Sunday morning service. Put work and effort into pouring into these girls. Please, please, I beg of you, pastors. I beg of you, church leadership. See the value. It isn't missionettes as you knew it, as we knew it 30, 40 years ago. Oh, that the core is still there, but the method has changed. The efforts have changed. Please take time. Give me a call. Come visit. Put energy into it because it's there. There's incredible stuff. And we need to see the value in our girls and put the effort into it.
And just by way of knowing, if you are hearing this and you're like, oh man, I'm so fired up, I want to try girls ministry in my church, or, I want to start it, or I want to get involved in it, you can contact Sharon at Sharon P at pdgirlsministries.org. It's on the Pendel website, or check out the Pendel Girls Ministries Facebook page, where you can connect with her. Is there any other way that they can connect with you to get started?
Let me make one correction.
Okay.
It's Sharon P at girlsministries.com.
Oh, okay.
It's .com. Sharon P at girlsministries.com. Mm-hmm. And it's ministries it's plural. If you contact me that way, or contact us through the Pendel Girls Ministries Facebook page, that is the best way. I have leaders that help me, my team. I have trainers. I have people that have incredible ideas. We are willing to come to your church, come to your region, come to your area, and just pour into you, give you ideas, give you training, give you just whatever it is that you need. Mm-hmm. We have some really good events. We do have an event coming up which I know this is beyond, it'll be over when others see this, but we do it every year, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday before Father's Day. It's 2 retreats, one for the 1st through 5th graders and one through 6th through 12th graders. We bring in special speakers. We have incredible fun. And we do silly things. We might even climb a tree. I don't know. But anyway, I'd love to connect with you.
Yeah, so use those resources to connect with Sharon and get girls ministry started in your church. So I want to say thank you so much, Sharon, for coming, spending this time, having this amazing conversation. I got to say, several times throughout it, I'm like, yes, that would preach. So that was just so nice to have you here today. And if you've enjoyed today's conversation, please like it and share it with your friends on social media. Let's get word about girls ministry out to everyone. You can also find more content at adessaholden.com or on the Adessa Holden Ministries Facebook page or our YouTube channel. So thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time on Girl That'll Preach.